At the beginning, we meet a man named Kevin. He's a doctor, and he's checking the weather forecast on his laptop because he's about to go on a one-week vacation with his family. His family includes his wife, Julia, and their young son, Andy. Everyone's super excited. They're heading to the Caribbean to relax and enjoy the sea, beaches, and sunshine. Just as Kevin is leaving the house with his bags, his elderly neighbor reminds him about the lawnmower he gave him for repair. The neighbor says, "Bring it over, and I'll not only fix it, I'll teach you how to fix one yourself. It's easy." But Kevin politely replies, "Thanks, but we're running late. Let's do that after we return next week." And with that, Kevin and his family head to the airport. Soon, they're on a plane flying over stunning views. The Caribbean is a popular tourist destination with thousands of people visiting each year. Kevin had already booked a hotel, so once they land, they check in and get settled. Now, little Andy gets excited and wants to ride a jet ski. Basically a small motorboat you can ride on water. Kevin goes to rent one, but the person in charge tells him, "Sorry, they're all booked. You should have reserved earlier. You can put your name on the list for tomorrow." Kevin even tries to offer some extra cash, but the man says, "Sorry, no can do. But there are some locals nearby who rent out boats. You can try your luck there." So Kevin finds those people, and they offer him a larger boat instead. It's nice and spacious, perfect for the whole family. Kevin rents it, brings it over, and both Julia and Andy are super happy to see it. The three of them set off into the sea, excited for their adventure. They have the boat for 3 hours, and after sailing for about an hour, Julia says, "We've come pretty far. Maybe we should head back now." But Andy sees a small island nearby and begs, "Please, Mom, let's just go there for a bit. It's so close." Julia hesitates but finally agrees. They anchor the boat near the island and start exploring. The island is completely empty, quiet and untouched, like no one's been there in ages. After a while, they decide it's time to go back, but when Kevin tries to start the boat, it won't start. He keeps trying, but nothing happens. Now he's starting to panic. He checks the fuel, plenty of it, then he checks the engine and realizes there's a problem. And strangely enough, the boat's engine is just like a lawnmower's. That's when Kevin remembers the neighbor who offered to teach him how to fix lawnmowers. He thinks, if only I had taken a few minutes to learn that skill, I could have fixed this right now. Sometimes it's the small things we ignore, the little skills, the simple lessons, that turn out to be the most important in tough situations. But often we realize that too late. While sitting on the island, Julia nervously asks Kevin, "Everything's okay, right? We'll be rescued, won't we?" She tries to stay hopeful and says, "If we're stuck here, the people who rented us the boat might file a police complaint. Then the police will come looking for us." But Kevin shakes his head and replies, "No, that's not going to happen. This boat was already in bad shape. It's probably insured. If it goes missing, they'll just file an insurance claim, not a police report. So let's stay calm. Boats must pass by here sometimes. If we see one, we'll signal for help." Still, both Julia and Andy are very scared. Kevin reassures them, "Don't worry, I'll get both of you out of here, no matter what." They wait. Morning turns into evening. Evening turns into the next day. But no boat passes by. Their hope slowly begins to fade. Just when they feel completely helpless, a boat finally appears in the distance. It's their one chance. They all scream for help, waving their arms. But the boat sails right past them, never noticing. Their hearts break. Now Kevin realizes that just sitting here isn't enough. They'll have to do something. But another full day passes, and Andy's condition gets worse. He's weak from hunger and dehydration. If he doesn't get medical help soon, he could die. So Kevin makes a bold decision. Even though the boat isn't working, he pushes it back into the water and uses paddles to try and row back. Earlier, it had taken them only an hour with the motor. Now with no food, no water, and no strength, rowing back feels nearly impossible. Kevin paddles for a long time, but eventually his body gives up. Exhausted, he lies down in the boat, hoping the wind and waves will carry them somewhere, anywhere. But cruelly, the sea pushes them right back to the same island they were trying to escape from. All of Kevin's effort wasted. He begins to lose hope. He thinks, maybe this is the end, maybe we won't survive. But just then, a boat appears and stops nearby. A man steps out, Max, a local fisherman. He'd spotted the empty boat earlier and came to check things out. Kevin begs him, "Please help us. My son is very sick. We need to go to the hospital or he won't survive." Max gives Kevin water first. It's the first drop of water Kevin's had in 2 days. He also gives water to Julia and Andy. But then Max says something chilling. "I'll help you, but it's going to cost you." Kevin, desperate, says, "I have $1,000. I'll give it to you. Just get us out of here." Max shakes his head. "No, I want $1 million. That's the price." Kevin stares at him, shocked. "Are you crazy? Where would I get that kind of money? Check my bank if you want. I have only $4,000 in savings, and you can take all of it. Just please save my family." But Max doesn't care. "You're saying your family's only worth $4,000 to you? Borrow money." call someone, find a way, or I leave. Kevin realizes he has no choice. If this is the only way to save his wife and son, he agrees. Okay, fine, I'll pay whatever you ask. Just please help us. The moment he says that, Max hits him on the head. Kevin blacks out. When he wakes up, he's tied up inside Max's boat. He's confused, dizzy, and terrified. He looks around and asks, "Where's Julia? Where's Andy?" Max calmly says, "They're still on the island. You're coming with me. Once I get the money, I'll take you back to them. But listen, don't try to be clever. Don't tell anyone. There are thousands of islands here. If you speak up, you'll never find them again." Kevin has no other option left. Whatever he has to do it fast. So as soon as he reaches land, he rushes to the beach and starts calling everyone he knows, begging for help, asking for money. But let's be honest, when you really need people, most of them disappear. And that's exactly what happens to Kevin. Some people hang up the moment he mentions money. Others make excuses. Still, he doesn't give up. He keeps calling, keeps trying. And little by little, he manages to gather $193,789, far less than the $1 million Max had demanded, but still everything Kevin could possibly collect. Now here's where Kevin sees a chance. Max is currently waiting for Kevin in a crowded bank, surrounded by people. So Kevin uses this to his advantage. He says, "This is all the money I could get. Take it and let me and my family go. If you don't, I'll scream right here in front of everyone and tell them you've kidnapped my wife and son." Max, caught off guard and a little scared, agrees. But first, he calls someone to confirm the money has been transferred. Once he gets the confirmation, he puts Kevin into another boat, but locks him inside a small cabin. Kevin is confused. "I gave you the money. What are you doing now?" he asks. Max coldly replies, "I'm just taking safety precautions. I'll leave this boat near the island. After I go back to get my own boat, wait for 1 hour, then you go find your family. That way I have time to disappear and you can't track me." Kevin knows he has no choice. He agrees. But as they sail far into the ocean, Max suddenly stops the boat. What happens next is pure betrayal. Max starts breaking the very boat Kevin is locked in, damaging it so badly that it will start to sink slowly. His real plan? Let the sea take care of Kevin. Let him drown so he can't tell anyone the truth. Kevin screams, "Please don't do this. I won't say anything to anyone. Let me go. I have to save my family." But Max doesn't care. He sneers. "Do you think I'm a fool? If I let you live, you'll run to the police. You'll ruin everything." Kevin struggles, but he's trapped. The broken boat begins to sink deeper into the water, and Max just stands there, watching, waiting. There's another man on Max's side, James. He sees Kevin fighting for his life and feels pity. He tries to stop Max, tries to reason with him, but Max shuts him down, silences him, and then Kevin disappears beneath the waves. Max turns the boat and escapes, believing it's over, that the problem is solved. But sometimes, no matter how dark things get, fate doesn't let go of the ones it's still holding on to, because Kevin somehow isn't dead. Friends, just when it seemed like the end for Kevin, something unexpected happens. An air pocket forms in a small section of the broken boat, keeping one part afloat. Water starts filling around him, but the air bubble gives him a tiny chance to breathe. Holding on to that last bit of hope, Kevin takes shallow breaths, struggling to stay calm, and begins pounding on the door from inside the cabin, his only way out. With every ounce of strength, he pushes, kicks, and slams his body against it. And finally, after a long, desperate fight, he breaks free. Kevin escapes the boat, but now he's in the middle of a vast ocean, injured, alone, and barely conscious. His leg is bleeding, which quickly becomes dangerous in shark-infested waters. He floats, weak and helpless, with the endless sea stretching around him. Just when all seems lost, a miracle happens. A passing boat spots Kevin. They immediately pull him on board and rush him back to shore. He's taken to the hospital and treated. Kevin survives, but the question remains, what about Julia and Andy? His wife and son are still stranded, possibly dying, on that same remote island. As soon as Kevin regains consciousness, he tells the police everything. A rescue mission is planned, but there's a problem. It's nighttime, and with no exact location and thousands of islands scattered across the ocean, searching in the dark is nearly impossible. Kevin begs, "Please, just go now. They won't survive till morning." But the officer calmly replies, "Sir, we'll begin the rescue at sunrise. We can't do anything tonight. Even if we use all our resources, it could still take a week to find them. There are just too many islands." Kevin is shocked. "A week? Are you insane? They won't survive the next few hours, and you're talking about a week?" Meanwhile, a detective named George is assigned to the case. He begins investigating Kevin's story and trying to track down Max and James. But instead of help, George throws accusations. "Did you and your wife have a fight? Did you happen to take out an insurance policy on her recently?" Kevin is furious. "Have you lost your mind? You think I left my own wife and child to die for money? Stop wasting time grilling me. Go after Max and James. They're the only ones who know where my family is. But George sighs and says, we don't even know if Max is his real name. The person you wired the money to? He's disappeared. Welcome to the Caribbean. Crimes like these are common here. Many of the people involved are illegal immigrants. We don't have proper records or real names for them. Tracking them is nearly impossible. Then he adds, just sit tight. Let us do our job. You'll find your family eventually. That's when it hits Kevin. They're not going to save them. Not in time, not with urgency. So he makes a decision. If he waits, he'll lose everything. So instead of relying on a broken system, Kevin decides to search for Max and James himself. Kevin knows he doesn't have time. The longer he waits, the farther away his wife and son slip from being found. So he grabs a map of the islands and heads out alone. His first clue? Max was a fisherman, so after catching fish, he must have sold them somewhere. Kevin decides to start with the fish market, hoping someone there might recognize Max, but it's late at night and the market is nearly shut down. Still, after asking around, someone tells him most of the fishermen head to a local bar after work. Kevin immediately makes his way there. Inside the bar, he begins describing Max and James to the people drinking and talking around him. Finally, someone points to a man in the corner. That's James. Kevin rushes over, but after speaking to him, he realizes it's not the same James. Suddenly, Kevin's phone rings. It's Detective George. Where are you? George demands. You can't just disappear during an active investigation. If you run around like this, people will think you're hiding something. Come back now. We need you for the rescue operation. Kevin replies coldly, call me only if you find Max or James, and hangs up. Now George's suspicion grows deeper. He starts to think maybe Kevin isn't telling the full story. Back in the taxi, Kevin sits in silence, overwhelmed. But then, he remembers something, a scar. Max had a stitch mark on his arm, as if he'd recently been injured. He turns to the cab driver. If a fisherman gets hurt around here, where would he go for stitches? The driver answers, there's only one hospital in this area. That's it. That's Kevin's next lead. He rushes to the hospital. On the pretense of getting his own wound checked from the boat escape, he talks to the doctor asking, did a tall, thin black man come here recently for stitches, maybe a week or 10 days ago? The doctor replies, sorry, I can't share patient records. But Kevin pleads, please, my wife and son's lives are at stake. Just give me a chance. Moved by Kevin's desperation, the doctor steps away, silently giving him an opportunity. Kevin jumps on the hospital computer and starts digging through the records himself, cross-referencing age, date of injury, and physical description. Finally, he finds a match, a man named Miguel. So now he knows Max is actually Miguel. And better yet, Kevin finds Miguel's home address. What detectives and police failed to do, Kevin managed to uncover alone. Hope floods back into him. He races to the address. A woman opens the door, holding a child. Kevin asks firmly, where's Miguel? I need to speak with him. She shakes her head. There's no one here by that name. But Kevin can see she's lying. He pushes his way inside and begins searching the home. Then he sees it, a framed photo on the wall. It's Max. This is definitely his house. Suddenly, Max walks in. Shock hits him as he sees Kevin standing there. But without wasting a second, Max lunges with a knife. Kevin came prepared. He pulls out a surgical blade he'd brought for self-defense. A violent struggle begins. They slash and dodge until Kevin stabs Max. But the fight isn't over yet. Max's wife enters holding a loaded crossbow and points it straight at Kevin. Kevin reacts quickly. He grabs Max's daughter, holding her close. Tell me where my wife and son are, he demands. If you don't, I'll kill her. Panic fills the room. In a desperate move, Max's wife fires the crossbow. The bolt rips through the little girl and hits Kevin too, embedding itself in his stomach. Kevin collapses to the floor, blood pouring from his wound. Max sees his daughter die in front of him and snaps. You killed her! He screams, blind with rage. Kevin tries to explain, but Max doesn't care. He charges again. Left with no choice, Kevin fights back. In self-defense, he kills Max, but by now the police have tracked Kevin's location. They arrive just in time to find two bodies, a destroyed home, and Kevin, wounded and bleeding, but alive. He's immediately handcuffed and arrested. Detective George comes to Kevin with devastating news. The rescue mission has been called off, he says coldly. You're being charged with double murder. You killed Miguel, Max, and his daughter. According to the government, you're a criminal now. No one's going to help you. Kevin can't believe what he's hearing. George continues, accusing him even further. Honestly, I always suspected you. Maybe you planned all this. Maybe you had Max kill your family for the insurance money, and then killed Max to cover it up. Kevin shakes his head in disbelief. No, everything I did was self-defense. I never wanted to hurt anyone, but no one listens. Kevin realizes that if he's thrown into jail now, it's all over. He'll never see his wife and son again. So when the moment comes, he seizes it, snatching a gun from an officer and making a run for it. The police panic, but Kevin disappears before they can stop him. The next day, Kevin has changed his appearance. New clothes, a different look, anything to hide from the authorities. He makes his way to the port office, where all the incoming and outgoing boats are tracked. Calmly, he walks up to a staff member and asks, "Can you tell me where the boat owned by a fisherman named Miguel is docked? I need to find it." The man checks the records and replies, "Sorry, that vessel's been sealed by the authorities." No one's allowed near it. Crushed again, Kevin walks away disappointed, but he refuses to give up. He knows Max is gone, but there's still one other person who might know the island. James, the only person who showed any kind of mercy when Kevin was being attacked. So Kevin begins searching the streets, keeping low, hiding from plainclothes officers, also searching for him. Just as one gets too close, Kevin hops onto a moving bus to escape, and by a miracle, James is on that same bus. As soon as James sees Kevin, fear strikes him. He knows Kevin isn't supposed to be walking free. He quickly jumps out of the window and runs. Kevin chases after him, calling, "Wait, I'm not here to hurt you." James slows. Kevin catches up, breathless. "Please, you saw everything. You knew what Max did. I need your help. Not for revenge, not for the police. Just help me find my family." Moved by Kevin's desperation, James finally agrees, but fate strikes again. A speeding truck suddenly crashes into James. Kevin is frozen in horror. The hit is brutal. He rushes to James, who is barely conscious, bleeding badly. Kevin pulls out a map of the islands and pleads, "Please, just show me. Point to the island. Please." With trembling fingers, James points. He tells Kevin the location, and Kevin, with no time to lose, turns to the truck driver and says, "Please, take him to the hospital. I have to save my family." The driver nods and speeds off with James, while Kevin starts running on foot toward the port. Blood is dripping from the wound he got during the earlier boat attack, but he pushes through the pain. Every second counts now. When he reaches the docks, he sees a small group preparing to sail. Desperately, Kevin begs them, "Please, I need to get to this island. My wife and son are trapped there. I'll pay you." But they refuse. The island is too far, too remote, too dangerous. They demand a large sum if they're going to take the risk. Kevin is out of time and out of options. So he pulls out the gun he had taken from the police. "I don't want to hurt anyone," he says, "but I need that boat now." Seeing his desperation, the men back off. Kevin takes the boat. Now friends, at this point, Kevin knew the police were already after him. So honestly, committing another crime didn't matter anymore. He had only one goal, to save his family, but fate had one more obstacle left. Just as he powers up the boat, he realizes there's no fuel. Desperately, he starts refueling it himself, racing against time. But before he can finish, police boats arrive. Officers shout at him to surrender, surrounding him with weapons drawn. Kevin doesn't flinch. He finishes fueling, jumps into the boat, and fires up the engine. The police warn him one last time, "Stop or they'll shoot." But Kevin doesn't stop. Gunfire erupts. Kevin's out of bullets. The police have rifles, and every passing second feels like the end. He believes he's about to be shot, but then something clicks. This boat has dual engines. It's a racing vessel. He powers up both engines, and in a flash, the boat surges forward at incredible speed, slicing through the waves. The police are left behind in his wake, shrinking into the horizon. Kevin disappears into the sea, a ghost on the run, chasing hope. Now he's close. The only thing that separated him from his family was a few miles of ocean and the hope that they were still alive. When Kevin reaches the island, he scrambles onto the sand and begins searching desperately. And then he sees them, Julia and Andy, barely alive, collapsed under the sun, motionless. Kevin rushes to them. As a doctor, his training kicks in. He checks Julia first, severely dehydrated. He gives her the last bit of water he had brought from the boat. But Andy isn't breathing. Kevin begins CPR immediately, pressing his hands into his son's chest, breathing into him, pleading with the heavens. He tries again and again, until finally Andy gasps. Kevin breaks down, overwhelmed with relief. He lifts his son and carries him to the boat, places him safely inside. Then he returns to carry Julia, but his body is breaking down. The crossbow wound in his stomach flares in pain. His legs tremble. He hasn't eaten in days. The strength he once had is now fading fast. And as he carries Julia, he collapses. The boat, only a few steps away, is right there. But Kevin can't move. He's done everything. He's fought death, outwitted criminals, escaped the police, crossed an entire ocean, and now at the very end, his body gives up. He falls beside Julia, weak, defeated. Tears fill his eyes as he whispers, "I'm sorry. I promised I'd save you." And then his eyes begin to close. But just as the silence settles, a helicopter appears. The sound cuts through the air. The police had been tracking him after all. They see Kevin, Julia, and Andy on the sand and begin descending. Kevin's eyes open, barely. He's still alive. And now, finally, they're safe. Will Kevin be arrested? Probably. He's broken laws. He's taken a boat at gunpoint. He's fled custody. But does he care? Not one bit. Because for Kevin, nothing mattered more than his family. He did what the system couldn't, what no detective could, what no rescue mission ever managed. He saved his wife and son, not because he was a hero, but because he was a father. And when a person has courage like that, there's nothing they can't do. If Kevin had relied on others, his family might not have made it. But he didn't. He chose to fight. And that, friends, is how this powerful and emotional story ends. Now you tell me, what would you have done? We'll meet again in the next video. Until then, take care of yourself, and thanks for watching.